What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Big 12 Team Builder Dynasty. In this one, we have a Madden 19 update. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Madden 19. It's where this save file is for this Big 12 roster, this Big 12 draft class, players that used to be in our Big 12 Team Builder Dynasty. Jed Carmichael, Andre Wingo, some throwback names for you guys if you remember these players. Todd Parker, Ty Underwood, Keenan Timmons. I'm just naming names, guys. It's been a long time. It's been 2 years and 2 years real life and 6 seasons in the making for this Big 12 Team Builder Dynasty. And of course, our guys are in the pros now, right? So we want to keep track of how they're doing. And a lot of them are right here on this Miami Dolphins roster led by Jeff Henderson, former Ardmore head coach. All right, so let's get into this matchup here. This is a Week 1 matchup with the Baltimore Ravens, the Lamar Jackson-led Ravens, and we are coming off a season that was a little disappointing. That seems to be the common trend for Jed Carmichael and Jeff Henderson. So, you know, we ended up making the playoffs, which was a good thing, but the disappointing part comes in when we got absolutely shellacked by the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. They absolutely destroyed us, as we see Keenan Timmons making a nice catch here to the sideline. They absolutely destroyed us. So this offseason, we made a bunch of moves. We acquired Jake Butt. We got some good players on the offensive line as well. We really revamped that defense. And Andre Wingo being healthy is a good thing for us. It's a really good thing. And being down 3-0 here, getting that running game going here after a couple passing plays, nice passing plays by Jed Carmichael, makes us feel pretty good so far. Here's Carmichael going to pass out to the right to our newest addition through the draft, Quan Alexander, a big-time target from Amarillo, number 85, catches his first touchdown and the first Miami Dolphins touchdown of the entire season. Here's Lamar Jackson firing up a big-time shot to Anthony Miller, but it's going to be picked off by Xavier Howard, the number 1 cornerback for these Dolphins. Yeah, gotta love that, guys. Gotta love that. We can get this lead to 14-3 maybe, right? Well, let's see. Andre Wingo's got a lane here. Nice spin move, nice juke. Got one man to beat, but good tackling there on Andre Wingo. He's now got 2 rushes for 36 yards. It's an 18-yard average. Here's a nice throw to Odell Beckham up the middle, and he just got the ball over the plane. That's a huge strike and a huge touchdown throw. McAllen, quarterback. Jed Carmichael looks like he's finally figured it out at the pro level, guys, right? Hopefully. But, hey, Hayden Hurst is going to make this catch for the touchdown, and Baltimore is starting to come back a little bit. 17-10, so we got to make some good throws here, Jed. 3rd and 18, so after a sack, but there is what Jed Carmichael gets into trouble with at times. He forces some throws. He keys in on some receivers, and he forces some throws. As long as those defenders are just playing in lanes, they should be able to negate and shut down Jed Carmichael. He did it at McAllen a lot, and he continues to do it here in the pros. So we're just waiting for Carmichael to take the next step. That's really what this comes down to. We're really waiting for him to take the next step. He's a 3-year pro now. You got to get it done, man. You got to get it done. Let's see it. Let's zing some passes here. Actually, it might be a 4-year pro. That seems more correct. Yeah, I think he's a 4-year pro. 17-10. Here's a deep bomb. 45 seconds to go, and Odell Beckham with the huge catch in the end zone. That's touchdown number 2 for Odell on the night. This is a primetime matchup, of course. That's why we're wearing the orange alternates, guys, if you did not see that. Of course you can, because we got the lights out. It's dark. It's dark in Hard Rock Cafe Stadium, guys. 24-13. Start of that third quarter. 9 minutes and 30 seconds to go, and there's another pick. Durham with the interception. That's pick number 2 for Jed Carmichael. He's got 3 touchdowns, but he's also got 2 picks. Not good. A touchdown here for Baltimore is going to put him down by 4. Here's Lamar Jackson pass to Hayden Hurst. Got a touchdown earlier in the game, and good game tackle there by Miami. Here's a deep pass to Alexander, but it's going to get tipped, and that one's an interception to Nicholson. And then the face mask So they were going to be down at about the 5-yard line, and then a face mask is going to push them all the way up even further. Okay, I mean, it's just getting bad to worse, guys. And then take a look at this. Anthony Miller. He's gone. Touchdown, Baltimore. They're going to go down by 2 points. So you know after that 73-yard touchdown, that momentum, they're definitely going for 2 here late in the third. Lamar Jackson scrambling. He can't find anybody open, and that's a nice play there. Good tackle by Armand Hammer. Takes him down, so Miami still has the lead. Andre Wingo is going to go down. That was a huge hit on Wingo, and he landed on his shoulder in a bad, bad way. Carmichael fires up the middle, and this one's picked off again. That's the second tipped interception that probably wasn't his fault, even though I would kind of say that that one is his fault. He kind of just hung that ball up there. Should have put a little bit more zing on it. You guys saw the update for Andre. He's got a broken collarbone. He's going to be out for multiple weeks. So just when we thought that this season was going to be a little bit different for Miami, it's more of the same. It's more of the same. So we are now losing. We're now losing 25-24, and we are losing our players at that. And take a look who's in the game now. Take a look who's in the game. Jed Carmichael has been benched. Benched for Ardmore quarterback, former Ardmore quarterback, Cade Wilson. And he's going to find Paris McMillan, who jukes Tyreek Wyrick Dysert out of his shoes all the way to the end zone. That's good for 71 yards on an out route. And John Gruden, not John Harbaugh, is pissed off. He's like, what is that? But a really good throw by Cade Wilson. Now, this play was not created by Cade Wilson. I'm not saying that whatsoever. That was all Paris McMillan. That's all former Matador Paris McMillan. Here's Cade Wilson, though. He's going to find Beckham Jr. in the back of the end zone for that 2-point conversion, and we are going to go up by a touchdown and a extra point. 7 points. 2:51. Lamar Jackson in an ace set. He's going to drop back. 5-step drop. He's going to fling it over here to Devin Singletary. That's a nice tackle by Richard Sherman. 4th and 6 at the 11, and pass completed to Dante Moncrief, but he's going to get into the end zone. That's a touchdown. Armand Hammer just could not get back over there to stop that slant route. It's now 32-32. So, Cade, you got a job to do. Don't turn it over like your teammate, Jed Carmichael, but Paris McMillan is going to dive for this one, helping his quarterback out. It's a big-time throw and catch. 3rd and 9. Jake Butt makes the catch, but he's short by a yard. And being aggressive, trusting his quarterback, his former quarterback, Jeff Henderson says, Cade, go for it. And they pick up the first down on a Corey Clement rush. Here's Corey Clement again, getting the first down, but with 58 seconds left, a holding call is going to push him back. This is just crazy. Miami just keeps screwing up, and then things that are not even their fault, just injuries, are still hurting them. So Clement is only going to get 5 here. It's a 2nd and 15. Cade Wilson dropping back. A little bit of pressure. Going to find McMillan again, and he's going to pick up from the 41 to the 31. So he picks up 10 yards there. It's a 3rd and 6 now. Henderson will call a timeout, and we got a job to do here. 24 seconds. Got to run the football. We got good blocking here. One man to miss, and Corey Clement is going to get hit out of bounds by C.J. Mosley, and that is going to set us up for a possible game-winning field goal. Here comes the kick. It is up. It is good. And Miami is going to somehow hold on and get this W at home and start off the season 1-0, despite everything that was going on with Jed Carmichael and those 4 interceptions. As he's walking off here feeling a little bit better about himself that we got the W. He's still going to remain the starter, but, you know, man, you got to thank your buddy Cade Wilson for digging you out of that hole, man. And some pretty good defense as well to stop Lamar Jackson and this offense when we needed it the most. Now, did we stop them? No, not necessarily, but we stopped them when we had to, and it helped for sure. Taking a look at some of the stat lines here, guys. We'll end up simulating pretty much most of the season all the way up until where we're at with the Big 12 Team Builder Dynasty, which would be week 12. I think we actually go a little bit further than that in this. I think we go to week 13, maybe week 14 in the NFL. So we'll take a look at that. But there is the injury report. We got Wingo out for 6 weeks. We got Logan Sweeney, the backup, out for 7 weeks with a ruptured disc. Santonio Farmer, former CAMU middle linebacker and former Kansas City Chief, Super Bowl winning Kansas City Chief, is going to be hurt as well. So pretty sucky what's going on here with the Dolphins health-wise. And we're going to go out and actually sign Chris Golston. You guys remember Chris Golston? He was actually a year 1 running back for CAMU. And what's interesting about Golston, he's kind of like Andre Wingo in a sense, where he does what Mike Monet does. So we got 2 running backs right now that kind of fit what Jeff Henderson wants in his running backs at the pro level. As long as we're kind of replicating what Andre Wingo could give us with Monet and with Chris Golston, I think we should be okay. I mean, this debut, though, for Mike Monet was not very good. 12 rushes for 23 yards, less than, I think that was less than 2 yards per average for carry. Terrible, absolutely terrible. But we do get a W here after a loss to Cleveland, of all people. Carmichael played a little bit better, but he did throw an interception. Monet was a lot better. 21 rushes, 89 attempts, 4.2 per carry. Clement was pretty good as well. Got a touchdown. Golston 7 for 14. Dallas Wynn. You guys remember Dallas Wynn? Former Midland State wide receiver. So kind of cool to see some other team builder players coming through for their respective teams. But Quan had a pretty decent game as well. Receiving. Didn't get a lot of receptions, but, you know, all things considered, it was a good showing. It was a good showing for the rookie, right? Defensively, we'll take a look actually at the blocking. There's Thurston Alexandro. That's just a name that I had to go back and see, because I do want to give you guys kind of that update on where certain players are in case I do run by them. But defensively, we did get a sack. It's Apollo Warren. 2 interceptions on Jameis Winston. And it was a good W. It was a good W over the Buffalo Bills. Taking a look at top players for the past few weeks, we do not see any Big 12 Team Builder players here. But until here, we got Bill Stevens with 2 interceptions in week number 1. This guy always seems to come through. And then Montana Flynn for Tampa Bay. 5 touchdowns, 400-plus yards. He's certainly coming into his own. Former Odessa State quarterback. He's a legend. He's a legend out there. And this is really all before Odessa State really kind of sold their soul, really. You know, it used to be kind of a program that really prided itself on doing the right things, right? All right, moving on. We got some good receiving numbers here for Jakeenan Timmons, 5 for 77. Paris McMillan came through with he chipped in a little bit. Mike Monet, a reception for 11 yards. Aaron Jones, a reception for 25. So it must have been like a screen pass or something. But Richard Sherman, that nickel cornerback, he's coming in a lot of tackles for us. A lot of tackles. So that helps out for sure. A lot of tackles for losses today for our defense. So it came through when we needed it. I'm impressed with our defense, even though that was a loss, 18-20, I believe that score was. But it was still an impressive game against a pretty darn good Patriots team, all things considered. But Green Bay again. Jed Carmichael, 2 interceptions. Rodgers had 3 touchdowns, no picks. You know, he's struggling. He's kind of struggling. Mike Monet, 14 carries for 41 yards. Just not good enough. Not good enough. It's really hurting. Without Andre Wingo, it's really hurting us. You know, McMillan's doing well. 7 catches for 75, 7 for 86 for Odell. But it's just not enough. We need a running game. Do we make a switch? You know, Marlon Swift had a nice catch, 1 for 41 and a score. Do we make a switch at quarterback? I think it's a little too early to do that. But again, like I said at the very beginning of this episode, I really had wished and hoped that Jed would take the next step. And so far, it doesn't look like he's really doing that. It more so looks like he's, I don't want to say regressing, but he's just really not moving the needle, which really sucks for us. But we're already in week number 6, I believe. Week 6. And we actually do get a W here over the New York Jets. And Carmichael was not asked to do a whole lot. 181 yards, 1 touchdown. 25 was the long. We just fed Mike Bonet 20 carries for 69 yards. Guys, that average, it's almost like 3 yards in a cloud of dust, man. It's just like, you could get 3 yards on every carry and still have to punt. You know what I mean? So we need 4 yards per carry, Mike. I know you can do it. You did it all the time at Little Rock. I believe in you. We believe in you. You can do it. You can do it. Defensively, tackles for losses. I like to see that. I like to see a lot of tackles for losses, but we didn't get a whole bunch. We didn't get a whole bunch, but I like the trend. I like the direction that we're heading on defense, and you can see it really coming through here against Buffalo. So again, defense coming through against Buffalo. We gave up 7 points. I would say that those tackles for losses were positive. It was a positive sign. Plus, having Andre Wingo for 19 carries helps out too. So he got healthy. He came back in the nick of time. Paris McMillan, yet again, with that connection that's going on at Mount St. Antonio, a.k.a. McAllen University. That connection there between him and Jed Carmichael is really panning out. He doesn't seem to like to throw to Odell much. He likes Paris McMillan, which is kind of funny to me. But we actually didn't have any tackles for losses in this game, but we did have a lot of half sacks, which is interesting. 1 interception goes to Richard Sherman. Another 31-7 win, this time over the Cincinnati Bengals, and Cade Wilson had to come in for 1 attempt and 1 completion. Kirk Cousins, 1 interception, 172. So an absolutely pitiful performance by Kirk Cousins. And Carmichael wasn't really any better. 217, we relied on Sweeney. We relied on Andre Wingo, 21 carries for 133 and 2 scores. So Wingo is the offense. I think that this trial and error type of deal is really showing us that. For the first 4 years of Carmichael's career, who do we compare him to? He's kind of a tough comparison, a tough quarterback to compare him to, because you can't really rely on him to have bogus games, like insane games like a Matthew Stafford or something. He's going to throw his picks. He's going to throw his interceptions. He's not really a game manager. Is he a Jared Goff? Would that be kind of a guy that you'd compare him to? I don't know. You guys let me know what you would compare Jed Carmichael to. But one thing's for certain, he needs a running game. He needs Andre Wingo, because if we don't have Wingo, we don't play well. We just don't play well. We've beaten teams up since Wingo has come back. 31-15 here against Jacksonville. We get another W, so we're on a 3-game winning streak. We really only gave up 14 points in the last 2 games. 31-7 against Cincinnati, 31-7 against Buffalo. But Carmichael had a pretty decent game there. Wingo, 22 attempts again, almost that 100-yard clip. No touchdowns for Wingo, though. Actually, 1. Read that wrong. 1 touchdown for Wingo. A touchdown here for Odell. Again, Paris McMillan led the way with receptions. Quan Alexander. So we've given him all the weapons that he needs. We've given him every single weapon that he could possibly need. Really good receivers. A pretty solid defense. And a really good running back core. So the fact that Carmichael is just kind of like, it's kind of concerning. But this is a nice surprise. And even in a loss, this is kind of a nice surprise. 354 for Carmichael. Although we didn't get the win, it must have been because Wingo got hurt again. He had to get knocked out. He got knocked out. He only had 7 attempts. So who are you going to rely on, right? Who are you going to rely on? You're going to rely on the quarterback now. And he came through with yards. He came through with production. But unfortunately, it just wasn't enough to get the W. So that sucks. Looking at the defensive numbers here, we got a couple tackles for losses. I want to see, Todd Parker got one. That's good. I like Todd Parker. Apollo Warren had 3 sacks for Apollo Warren. That's what I like to see. Those are some good numbers. Then Armand Hammer actually got an interception as well. That's really good to see. So Carmichael, Week 12 Player of the Week. I like it. He finally got some recognition. Especially, I love jinxing us. I feel like that's what helps us out. So if I can call out our players, then they can come through. I think that's the magic sauce. I think that's what we need to do. We need to start calling people out. Gunnar Rivers in week 8 was a player of the week. Like to see that. And then Montana Flynn, 6 touchdowns. You read that right? And then look at the AFC. CJ Wicks. So Flynn and Wicks. Odessa State, Midland State. Go figure, right? And then we already saw week 4 with Isaiah Green going off as well. Thanksgiving Day game, Miami and Detroit. Carmichael definitely was worthy of the Galloping Gobbler. 355 yards, 4 touchdowns, 80% completion percentage. No touchdowns on the ground, though, for Miami. But Wingo was efficient. He was solid. But here is the player of you. Well, I take that back. Do you give it to Carmichael or do you give it to Drakeen Timmons? 6 grabs, 128, and 3 touchdowns. Not 1, not 2, 3. I probably take that back. I'm probably giving it to Drakeen Timmons. The guy just absolutely went off. And Detroit, yet again, loses on Thanksgiving Day. Go figure. Go figure. Good defensive numbers here by Miami. We had 3 sacks on the game. Santonio Farmer is healthy. Todd Parker got in on a sack as well. And we ended up losing here to the Chicago Bears. And this is the final game before the big one that I want to talk to you guys about. Because if you've been keeping track, now after this game update, we're currently 7-5 on the regular season. So what does that mean? We're 12 games in. We've got 4 games left. We've got about another month left of NFL action. And we will show you guys the NFL standings as well as the AFC East standings so you guys kind of get an idea of what's going on. But I'm going to let you guys know right now because there's really no point in talking about a loss. I don't want to talk about a loss to the Chicago freaking Bears. I don't want to talk about that. The New England Patriots are 7-5 also. Now, if you guys remember from year number 2 of this little series, this little side series that we got going on here with the Dolphins, we had an opportunity at one point, might be multiple opportunities, to finally win the AFC East. I don't think anybody else other than the Patriots in all of these little episodes, these little series that we got, this series that we have, I don't think anybody's beaten New England. I think that they've won every single year. So we got a chance. We got a chance. We're both sitting here at 7-5. We got a chance to pick up a game on them, and that's what we're going to pick up in the next episode when we get an update for Madden. So, guys, as far as player stats goes, you saw the numbers. CJ Wicks 19-6, but Montana Flynn looks like he's the best quarterback in the league. Who would have saw that coming, right? So the Stan Leach protege, Montana Flynn, is really coming through for the Tampa Bay Bucks. He's doing awesome. Love to see it. Robert Bishop's really taking a step back, though. Now, I'd want to look at his attempts again. And Rashid Davis having a pretty solid season at 61%. Could be a little bit better, but I think that the number of attempts, he might have been hurt for a little bit. Because that's not a Robert Bishop type of season. I'm not going to lie to you. That's just not a Robert Bishop type of year. Normally, he's right where Montana Flynn's always been, right? Near the top of the order, right there. Maybe like top 5 in yards, top 5 in touchdowns. But, Montana Flynn's just balling out this season. So it's a little bit different from where he has been. But Robert Bishop being down that low was a little surprising for me. Running back wise, not much to talk about other than 2 Shreveport running backs here, Seidel Riggins and Andre Wingo. And when you look at the number of attempts for Wingo at 113, he's definitely got more damage to go. And I think that he's probably not going to catch the leader. He's probably not going to catch the rushing leader, but he's going to get really darn close. Probably finish as a top 10, maybe top 15 running back before it's all said and done. He's got a lot of road to hoe because we've only got a month left to go. Only 4 games left where a lot of these guys have already piled up some stats here. But, you know, when you look at the number of attempts versus the number of yards, he's pretty much on pace to getting back into elite status, which we know that he is. He's an elite running back. Receiving wise, again, just not a whole lot to talk about, but I'm going to show you guys all the way until about 50 receptions. I think 50 receptions is probably a good middle type of number, still kind of an above average number. Some good players like Carson Jackson, former McAllen product. We've got, let's see, nobody else down here. Yep, there's one. Mercutio Hardaway, 6 touchdowns, 798. Like to see that. Dallas Wynn. Jimmy Ireland's actually got 10 touchdowns at tight end, so he's been a red zone target for Houston. I almost said Texas. D.D. Foreman there. He's been good. Ardmore product. He's been good. He's been solid. As far as yards go, nothing really going on here as far as yards go. So let's talk about touchdowns. And yeah, so we talked about that. Jimmy Ireland there at 10. Moving down, I don't see anything for Big 12. Every time I see D. Westbrook, I think it's D.D. Foreman for some reason. I think D.D. Westbrook, D.D. Foreman. So that's it for touchdowns. Let's move over to defensive numbers here for sacks. I think Armand Hammer is on this list, if I'm remembering right. We'll keep scrolling here. Yeah, no, it's Apollo Warren. So Apollo Warren, Ardmore, 6 sacks. Interceptions. No customs. Except for, I believe, Bill Stevens should be on there. Yep, he was on there. So I kind of cut that short, but he is on there with 3 interceptions total. Remember, he had 2 in one game, which would be week number 1. So he only has tacked on 1 interception since then. All right, let's move it on to the NFL standings. So both Patriots and Dolphins are kind of in the middle of the pack as far as the NFL is concerned, but they're both tied in the AFC East. So that is where we're going to leave off. The Madden NFL update is right here. Taking a look at the AFC East standings, guys. 7-5, 7-5. I will make sure that you guys get an update here in the next couple weeks for Madden, and we'll see how these Miami Dolphins and Jed Carmichael, Andre Wingo, Jeff Henderson, and how they're doing. All right, guys, let's get into some custom prospect updates. I'm not going to be showing every single team for an update in this episode. We'll have another update just like we used to do. We'll show Ardmore, Nebraska State, ACU, Denver Tech as the top 4 here for today's episode, and then we'll actually show the remaining Big 12 Team Builder teams to get a recruiting update for them next week for next week's preview video. All right, so keep in mind that when you guys do submit your custom prospects, not all the time you're going to see players commit to those Big 12 schools. Like we see Hank Fa'amona. Like, we're just lucky to be on the board here, being a guy from California, right? And he's thinking about going to Michigan too, a heavy run-first type of style of offense. But, you know, Virginia Tech's up there, McAllen's up there. Kind of an interesting spread for Hank Fa'amona. I know that we would really love to utilize his blocking scheme or his blocking style. And just knowing how we utilize Jake Wood, he would be a great player for us. Traquan Porter would be pretty much the next Darnell Savage. And we would love to have a guy like that come up the wing once Savage pretty much says that I'm going to go to the NFL. He's probably likely going to be doing that. He's not going to last to be a senior. I would assume that he's definitely going to be declaring as a junior. So we would love to have a guy like Traquan Porter, a custom prospect. But, you know, it doesn't look like that's going to happen, guys. We're down 1,300 points to Nebraska State. But the good thing is even though from San Diego, Porter loves the Big 12, and it would have been kind of cool to see him in that Broken Arrow uniform, but it looks like it looks like he's going to go to Nebraska State. Now, do we have a visit here late for him? We do. We do. So they just got off of a visit here last week for Nebraska State. Hopefully Porter lasts that long, and we might be able to go nab him here in week 14. So we'll keep an eye out on Traquan Porter, but he would definitely be one of my top targets. Now you'll see that we actually have 23 scholarships left to go, so we have not really done a great job recruiting this year. Not sure what's going on with that, but I think we might have been a little too top-heavy, going after guys like Matt Hindenburg, who ended up signing with Shreveport. That's a huge signing for Shreveport, mostly because this quarterback is definitely going to be a type of guy that fits their style of offense, and who knows, that offense actually might be changing with how Kerry Ashley is performing with that offense. It might be kind of trending more towards a balanced offense versus just a run-heavy scheme. A couple other custom prospects here. Derek Paul Jackson, another wide receiver. He looks like he's going to go to Florida State or ACU. Denver Tech's up there too. They do have visits coming up here too. So ACU, Denver Tech, 900, I believe that said right there, plus 900 for Florida State in week 14. So the very last visit for Derek Paul Jackson. I'm hoping that ACU or Denver Tech swoops in and grabs this guy. We don't like our custom prospects going to CPU-controlled teams, that's for sure. Shane Boot II. So he must have really liked the way that Ben Shinosky was utilized. Even though it says he's a pocket passer, I know that he can move a little bit. But he's considering Nebraska State. Now, Shreveport might be out of the mix. For certain, Amarillo and Ardmore are out of the mix. Shreveport, like I said, they might be out of the mix here just because that they signed Hindenburg. But the two teams that I think would fit him the best, the number 2 quarterback in all of the nation, Nebraska State and Broken Arrow. And when we take a look at Nebraska State, when we see their whole board, you guys are going to be really impressed with Nebraska State. But we have a lot of lockouts here for Ardmore, and I tried to unlock some of these guys, but it just wasn't going to happen, so we're just too far out. So we need to start considering guys like Nathan Jenkins, another Jenkins there, number 4, running back, a guy that's ending up going to be replacing Brent Guerrero and Xavier Wiggins. We do have guys coming up in the wings at running back, but you know me, I always like to have depth in all spots. This guy, I love this guy, Sidney Edwards. He's going to be a really good player for us if we're able to nab him, and it looks like we might be able to. He's got that power type of running style. I do like that. 6'1", 205. And just looking at the scouting, I know that he's going to be a really good player. He's got that 83 acceleration right now. Agility's a B, stamina's a B, elusiveness 79. So his star rating actually might be a little bit lower than what he actually is. He's a 3-star prospect, but I think he's going to be a little bit better than that. I think he's going to be a beast. So I wasn't kidding you guys. They cleaned up. 7 scholarships remaining for Nebraska State. So take a look at this, and they have got even more to go. Look at this. They've got Traquan Porter, number 1. Jaden Genswider. He's leaning towards Michigan pretty hard. And Shreveport at number 3. And I hope and I wish that we went after him a little bit harder, or he actually liked Nebraska State a little bit more than other teams, but this one looks like it's going to get away from us. I'm halfway tempted to pull points off of Jaden Genswider only because they don't have a visit. They don't have a visit, and it's just kind of pointless at this point because we can't compete with other teams that do have visits. But Royland Hall, a custom prospect as well, an 81 overall free safety. That's going to help the defense out big time. Plus, they got Shane Booth II. He's up there at first place here. They're competing with Denver Tech to get the number 3 middle linebacker. Like, this team is going off in recruiting, guys. Jason Carter-Graham, number 2 middle linebacker, has committed to Nebraska State. This is big time. That defense is getting so much better already with Royland Hall plugged in and Jason Carter-Graham. So that's a custom prospect as well. Brian Price, a 74 overall receiver. I'm impressed. I'm impressed with Nebraska State. They got a guy, Jason Jenkins, another quarterback that they're looking at just as kind of a backup in case Shane Booth does not go their way. Ryan Kennedy, kind of a Corey Hargrove type of runner. Nick Winston's up here. We might be able to pull some points off of some other players that we're not really in the running for. But look at this, guys. I mean, I guess I take that back. We're in the running for everybody. Greg Fox, Josh Austin, 263s, 64, defensive tackles, cornerbacks. They're cleaning up, guys. They're cleaning up, and I'm just really impressed with Nebraska State's recruiting this season. We really did a bang-up job. Even if we don't get some of these guys that are still pending, it's one of the best classes that Nebraska State has had in this dynasty. And if you want to take a look and see how good that it is, Nebraska State right now is number 4 in the nation with recruiting class. Obviously, this leans more heavily towards teams that are signing a plethora of players, and a lot of us down here, we're a little behind, right? I mean, I would assume that Ardmore's down here, 123rd. So we've only gotten 2 people to sign. That's probably got something to do with playing time. Probably got a lot to do with playing time because we targeted some pretty darn good players. But I think that's got a lot to do with it. But let's just go check out Little Rock. I know I want to take a look at Denver Tech too and ACU, but let's take a look at Little Rock here and just add them to our list of teams that we're going to check out today. So throughout this dynasty, I've noticed a couple things. Little Rock usually cleans up with recruiting. At least in the last couple seasons, Buddy Monroe has really taken recruiting up a notch. Now, Lucky Roberts, I wish that Lucky was considering other team builder teams, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen, guys. He wants Florida State. He wants Georgia. I'm surprised that Middle Tennessee is up there. He's from Georgia. I don't know. That's kind of a surprising thing for me. But they did get a number 5 defensive tackle, and they stole him from Ardmore here. Brandon Gray, an 80 overall player. Shotgun Smith looks like he wants to go to Shreveport, even though they just got Matt Hindenburg. So I don't really know what Shotgun Smith is thinking here. Maybe he's going to start leaning towards Amarillo a little bit. Maybe more so towards Mississippi State, which I think that's probably what's going to end up happening there. But Victor Kaplan, an athlete here, 6 feet, 201, probably, I would assume with that type of measurable there, he's probably going to be a safety. Maybe that he might be too big for a safety. He might be a linebacker of some sort, maybe a wide receiver. He could be anything. He's that nice little athlete there. Derek Paul Jackson, 10,000 points behind. So I think it's safe to say we can remove Derek Paul Jackson from our list. Antonio McBride, Bubba Washington, Jerome Johnson, Kennard Williams. I mean, this is a really good class. Again, for Little Rock, they're just cleaning up on the recruiting trail. And they're just, look at this. I mean, they didn't stop. Roderick Mathis, Matt Swan, Josh Ginn, Dan Brown. It just doesn't end for Little Rock. So they're going to continue on and sign a bunch of these guys. And I really think that they're going to be a force to be reckoned with yet again on the recruiting trail, even in the offseason. They're probably going to remove some of these 59s that I didn't offer scholarships to. And, we can start allocating some more points to guys that we need. So good job, Little Rock. So a recurring theme for ACU is it's just been a really disappointing season. A really disappointing season. And with how good these custom prospects are this season, I haven't seen anything like this before. And I think that this has a lot to do with the fact that these guys are like all 5 stars, like high 4 stars as well. They're going to lock you out pretty quick. And that's been a pretty consistent thing across the board for all Big 12 teams that are trying to go after these guys, like Hank Falamona, not even interested in ACU. And I will clean up this board. That's for sure. I mean, we've already maxed out our points, but I just wanted to show you guys where these players were thinking about going, because they're not going to ACU. So here's your update, right? Falamona, we talked about him a little bit. Adobe Jammer wants to go to Texas or teams in Texas. They've got McAllen up there. They got Midland State up there. So hopefully Adobe Jammer chooses one of our Big 12 team builder teams, but crazier things have happened. Timmy Tran, this is very, very interesting. He wants to go to UBA. He sees an opening here. I think this might work for him. Timmy Tran to UBA. That would make a lot of sense, actually. Now, Odessa State, he could go to Odessa State. That might end up working out for him. But I personally think he's going to end up signing with UBA in that Week 13, which would be next week. Not this upcoming week, but next week. So I think that that's going to be an option here for Timmy Tran. Royland Hall, they wanted Royland Hall. We can officially take him off the board here for ACU. Traquan Porter, Lucky Roberts, Shane Butte II, Jaden Genswider, they wanted him. Hindenburg, Shotgun, like they wanted all the customs, right? And they just couldn't nab them. In fact, because of how poorly that ACU has been playing this season, and when I say poorly, 3 losses with a team that was supposed to be a lot better than that. It resonates. It resonates with recruits, and they're looking at that thinking like we could go elsewhere and have a little bit more success. ACU's on the downswing, is what they're looking at here. But yeah, ACU's going to have to start settling, I guess, for some low 60s, mid 60s, because they're definitely not nabbing the 70s or the high 80s here with these custom prospects. So again, I will clean up this board, but as for a recruiting update, I wanted to show you guys where a lot of your customs were planning on going. So unfortunately for ACU, a little late in the season, they're going to have to settle, it sounds like. All right, where are all my techies at? Where's all the Denver Tech fans at? After a couple losses here, just kind of a similar season like ACU, that's also resonating with some recruits as well. So Adobe Jammer, now pretty much no longer interested in Denver Tech. Traquan Porter, we talked about him. Derek Paul Jackson, so they do like the receivers. The receivers do like Denver Tech here. Scribner, quarterback, doesn't really like that offense by the looks of it. He's a pocket passer, just doesn't seem to really fit. Timmy Tran could be a guy that Denver Tech could nab here soon if they have a visit. They already had the visit, so he might be a lost cause. As we talked about, might be going to UBA. John Johnson, an 81 overall guard, could be in play still. Yep, Week 13 visit. They might want to switch that visit, I think, to like Week 4. But I don't think you can switch visits, can you? No, you can't. So once it's there, it's there. Yeah, so visit, yep, you can't really change it. So that sucks for Denver Tech, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. Harry Bush. Sorry, I had to. What's going on with this board? They got Bobby Higgins. Now, this is funny because he's the number 4. Okay, this is actually really hilarious. Bobby Higginson was my favorite Detroit Tiger growing up, and what was his size? 5'11", about 180. About 180. Yeah, 5'11", 180, and he was number 4. That was his number, his baseball number. And it looks just like him. Got some red hair going on, but it looks just like him. This is hilarious. He was from Pennsylvania, I believe, not Arizona, but still very funny. And then Harry Bush, like, come on, NCAA, you're just messing with us now. Andrew Blanco was not wanting to go anywhere but Denver Tech. Look at those numbers there, 7,100, 7,200. Mike Holland in the lead. Here's the number 3 middle linebacker, Craig Harrison, really good player there. Number 6 defensive end. Look at that, man. 6'4", 235. He's going to be a beast. Ron Bellamy locked him out. Damon Coley locked him out. Michael Martin, a quarterback. Number 6 scrambler. So they're still going. They're still getting quarterbacks, and that's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one for Denver Tech. You watch out for that guy for sure. Shane Butte. I'm saying his name in like 3 different variations tonight. I don't know what's up with that, but Shane Butte. Butte. I don't know. You correct me. If Shane B is out there, you let me know how to pronounce that. Because I'm sure we're going to be announcing your name here a lot in the simulation. But Devin Harris, where's Rawlings at? There he is, Don Rawlings. Jeez, struggle bus. Devin Harris, 76 center, committed to Denver Tech. So they're in a little bit better of a spot than ACU is, for sure. And I'm sure once we clean up that ACU board, things will be a lot different for them. It'll kind of look like this. It'll kind of look like Denver Tech's board, but they're not doing too bad of a job. They got a couple lockouts that we can remove here and clean up for them too, but They've got scholarships that they can use. They got 20 left. I think Denver Tech's in a pretty decent spot. Not as good as they have been, but they're still in a decent spot. That is going to be it for today's Big 12 Team Builder update as far as recruiting goes and a Miami Dolphins update, guys. Leave a like if you like this thing. I will see you on Saturday morning for Week 12 action. It's going to be a huge week, guys, for the Big 12 Team Builder teams. However this is going to shake out, it's going to be pretty crazy. That much I can tell you. I don't actually know what's going to happen yet because I haven't even gotten to the point of simulating any of these games. So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting because we've got big games with Nebraska State and Midland State. You guys know that matchup very, very well. For those of you that have been following along with this series for quite some time, Denver Tech at Amarillo. That's gonna be a big one, and then McAllen at Ardmore. Little Rock Camu. You know that game's not too important. With what's going on with the rest of the Big 12, Broken Arrow and ACU. Anything could happen there because ACU is kind of slipping a little bit. You guys saw how the recruiting is going for them. And word is out on the street at ACU because there's a lot of things going on with that program. Kind of on the downswing like we talked about. But again, storylines all across the board in the Big 12. Guys, like I said, leave a like if you like this thing. I will see you on Saturday for gameplay action. As always, peace.